So, we're gonna go back up and have him do a mic test. We need to get his phone on. Yeah. Fawcett, you have your cell phone?
Yeah.
Okay,
I lost all the contacts. 928
206
206
5625.
5625. All right, so we're gonna walk back up and call you and do a microphone check. In stereo studio. Stereo studio. So I'll find it down over here.
Okay, I gave it the wrong one.
So give us like maybe 10 minutes or a few minutes. How fast we go.
What's that?
Which one was it again? The top of the screen?
Keystone.
Keystone.
Yeah. I forget which one it was, but yeah, Keystone is.
Forgot which one.
Oh, yeah,
Keystone.
Is that right? I'm on top of the world, she just said. Okay, all right then. Okay, all right, but the microphone sounds good then, no? Okay, can I roll over to the other one and I'm gonna check that one, okay? Hang on. Microphone two, how does this one sound? Does this one sound good? Okay, I'll go ahead and turn it up on the amp. Okay, will do. All right.
Oh, there it is.
I'm going to turn.
Is the presidency?
Crank down the audio a little bit. Picking up on the microphone? Yeah, but you can still pick it up. Oh, I can't pick up the outside though, that's the good thing. The only thing I'm picking up is the conversation over there. Picking up the shuffling around. Let's see. Okay, see how we can.
Good morning. How are y'all doing? Doing well, doing well. Always, always. What's your name?
Yeah, they are. It's the link for the information is on the top of the agenda for the week. It's about to start any minute.
I think I got it, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they don't know. All the way on top.
Yes.
Yeah. Barely, I can still hear the conversation, but now it's kind of shuffling and everything like that. Yeah.
So, I'm not sure what slide. Email it over here. Some slides I want to switch it. I don't have them on the hard drive. I thought I just emailed it to you.
I don't even know who's logged in on this, honestly, but I can get access to it. You could email it to me.
Ho, ho, ho! Good morning, everybody. I come to your source.
damnedest thing.
Yeah, you can email it to me and I can download it under here.
I always sit in the back, so over here in the front. I'm a host, I always sit in the back, the students always sit in the back. Come over here in the front. All the teachers, they sit in the back.
Good morning. Welcome back. I'm supposed to do a welcome address, so I should start with that. Welcome back, everybody. Faculty, I see faculty here. There's some staff there outside. Dr. Garrity's here, myself. Everybody, welcome back. 2022. We will start with the invocation by Dr. Avery Denny. Shanayadi.
A long time ago, when I started to work here, on the 5th floor, there was this one man that was sitting over here, and then another guy over here, and every morning they would greet each other. One was a German, the other one was Navajo, and the German guy would say, Yat E, and then the Navajo guy would say, Yat E, like that. So they would talk to each other like that. So, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to 2022 spring session, and we are here to educate the students that we're going to receive next week. And they're going to be registering and coming to our school, and we have to make preparation for this year's goals and objectives, and planning strategies, and graduation at the end in the spring. Also, and pray to be strong, be wise, be kind, be friendly, and be professional, and with good health. So, 같이 저들은 또 höjüyorlar. Ne yazın şlan odışını, suyun şlan odışını. Yolkayı ıssa, bir yazın şlan. Asanatlığı, bir suyun şlan odışını. Asanatlığı, bir yazın şlan, yolkayı ıssa, bir suyun şlan odışını. Haşçe yaltki nişlan, haşçe var nişlan. Nataalkı işki, nataalsü at nişlan odışını. Tadettin eski nişlan odışını, ani at nişlan odışını. Sana eski nişlan, bir hajon at nişlan odışını. Haşçe yaltki, haşçe var. Bezabba ki tadettin ehin lago. Hayolkal bakhatettin nohol suy bakhatettin yote althas netles althas bakhatettin bil bezabba ki ehin lago bezahil lago ye hanatsihiki kodo be hanatsiko ate ye yaltki kodo be yashtio ate ye anneniki kodo be etishnigo ade be etchinninki kodo be etishni. Ajashi thaniki etahot eshi thaniki shi etahatnik honde. Abi gahat shi ebatahat zed etahanika ini dochinish shendats at ehgi tahosels ito tadet la do bikeko tahenit nada edo bikeko yikata. Kojiye saanagai bikajon athin. Tadetink athin bakago hondide. Di khaenitigi bigije dan anitigi she anitigi ake anitigi Le konna hot adi katolito, tabiga nilt ego konde. Kwadi kaya has atseheli, kwa olthalani sa ako, dene college or the ego kon, kwa ta inish konde. Kwa atchane ta althatsil kele astwido sani danlo. Oh, anantin yat enjonigi benye. Oh, kwa nakatolil. Ede dani tjendolil, which iatil tito, dan his atolil, kon, nihikita itidolil, nahayata halchin, hayata hanizendolil, kon oha. Heshi kajo badenzishi benani tjendolil. Benye, hast edetil nil benye, kon, de kwa nahakak at nahata oltan delish als hoje, kwa nihilaz anko. As it's in dan lenigito a board of regents, aro president, aro provost, dan lego ta hidit nego nihimata tanhi nahastui da tanhi cheni masan kwaken lo ahastui amasan at she nitlego kwaen lo keta hidit no kwa keta huit kwa endika ko ihiln del nishko alla anana toli sa lenigin antin zakis nata inatos sehutinsin nas nadi dikako toma tjeko to hotel nigo ku ni ultra stado ko ata huis age ko nas net ko to ultra pata ultra agi toma tjeko to hotel nigo ku ni hotel honesh kishtroch ian salado ni nantin o apena ni tienegi toba tjeko to hotel nigo kunde isa anarebik hojon binne hatast ego bensekis hatast ego toba tjeko to hotel nigo kun hatetin sa anisa sa anaresa ni hojon sa be alcha haitzigo el anisa belcha hata atzo kun nani katoli dat hot an hena hotel hatetin an hena hotel Traditin apet il iso. Oh, nani katoli ko ni chisadalt oh ni nadalt oh. Ni hike hui lado ni hike hui indoli ko ni hilas ado ko ndel ni shiko ni hilas andli ko chiyan trosella. Nilchi ko esella no ko ni. Ado ko hojon go yad an last ado ko nda de chete ni hojon de tahwil hinte ta etni Chiliade, Senliade, Dahdiinde, Adsudeno, Nich Hojogo, Hol Adon, Lee, or Gostan, Hajo Bahoinsen, Yenedil got so cos, Lenki Hocho, Epilist, Nahal Dale. And that's how there's no Otlado, the Eco Azedo, Hunde, or no. Ehot on, he last Adon, and no on it now, the shoulder. Qua digidos cado qua en loco, tahanit loco, hot edo, dibica, so that niche hojodo, tahadiginde. Niche hojodo, ni kedo hojodo, ni yagdo, ni kicking in nada. Hojodo, ni hizat hojodo, Lahanarebica hojon, ni nito. Sanarebica hojon, nishlido. Sanarebica hojon, no hido. Hojon hastly. Was honestly. I've got to tell that joke.
Thank you, Dr. Penny. And now I'd like to introduce the Nhinatani, Dr. Charles Marty Russell. Good morning, everybody. I've been here a few years now, 5 years, and I learned more today about people than I have in the past. who's sitting in the back, who's in the front row, who's in the middle. You know, I feel like I know an awful lot about you, Peter, back there, just by where you chose to sit. My name is Monty. Ke ani nishle, Monty kind of Scotland, Bashis chain, First of all, I really liked hearing Dr. Denny. Has a nice ring to it, so thank you for the prayer. You know, we have gone through an awful lot, and we are going through an awful lot, and that's as a college. And we forget sometimes that in addition to what we do at the college, we have families. We have kids, we have parents, brothers and sisters. We have people that we have to take care of, or they take care of us. And if you add that all together, that's a huge responsibility for all of you. And so I just want to say thank you, because I know by showing up every day, it means you can't be somewhere else every day. And people need you, and they count on you. It's like just when we think we're getting over and we're like, see that light, you know, we think it's the dawn and then the light's coming up, and we realize it's the sunset and it's going down, it's getting darker. And, but it's always light. And I think, you know, that right now is kind of where we are. We get a lot of questions about, you know, I was just with the incident command talking about, we've had a lot more calls just in the past few days. As you can expect, you turn on the news and we know that that's something that is happening. And we take that serious. And I want you to know that we take your health serious also. And so we may be going down a path and all of a sudden we have to correct. And we make those decisions based on what we think is best for the students, for the faculty, for the staff, and for the families that you all come from. And I think that's something that I just want to start off by saying, because I know we just come off a holiday with, you know, that Don got all the presents he wanted, which was a healthy family, right? That's enough. Everything else is a plus. Right. And we all had, you know, good, you know, I was going down the elevator with a couple of faculty, and one of the things shared was, you know, there were other things, you know, during this time that we had to take care of. And that's where I come from right now, is just acknowledging that from all of you as we begin this now spring 2022. That's pretty amazing to think about that. It's just amazing how fast these years fly by. They seem to go faster once you hit a certain age. When you're young, it takes forever, but when you get older, it's just dragging on for a very long time. There are a couple things that I wanted to kind of talk about today. They kind of blend into each other. On the screen, I'm going to be showing a couple data points. Last week, the VPs and myself and some other staff got together, and we just went over some data points. There's a lot more data points that we're asking for and that they're coming, and I just want to share with you some of the ones that we looked at, because I think it's important. And it's not that we have any answers here, so don't get me wrong. I'm not showing this to say, oh my God, this is what we're going to do, and this is going to be, you know, the way we're reaching out to reach our goals. But I think what happened that day, as it does anytime you look at data, is that you start asking more questions. And you start looking at some of the assumptions that you have heard, that you have created, and with new data that begins to challenge that. Right? That begins to think, wait, I thought this, but this says something different. And that's why I want to share this with you, because that's what happened with me. There were two ideas that reflect when we talk about our students today, right? And it's based on what we've heard over time. It's based on some of the conversations we've had, and that is two things. One, our students select our college because of the cost, that's one, and because of the proximity of the college to their home. This data challenges that. And I think it's a good thing. Because if we think we're only hitting people that are, wow, I just saw that painting, that's nice. If we think we are attracting people because of a certain idea, a certain reason that these students have, and we've been doing things and making decisions and looking at different things, and that's wrong, or that's not the full picture. I don't think it's ever wrong. There are some people that do choose that. But the idea is that we make certain decisions based on that. And so if we change that, what happens? If we change that, think about this for a second, okay? We've had for the past 2 years now, going on the third year, this third year right now is something really different, and that is 50% tuition grants. So we're already the lowest around, and now we're even lower. We've opened up new sites, so now we're closer. This spring, those students that finished in good standing do not have any tuition cost at all. Of that 1,300 students that we had this year, think about this for a second. Only about 360, I think that's the number, might be 345, but anyway, so only less than 400 of them actually earned free tuition. Stop and think about that for a second. You have an opportunity to, by being good standing, right, which is a C, you then get free tuition the next semester. And out of 1,360 students, we had roughly 350. I don't know about you, but that kind of depresses me. I'm not pointing fingers, not blaming. It's a data point that we take and we say, what do we do differently about that? Look at the, so look at this in terms of the course completion rates. Look at 2018-19, the top one. Just look at the institution. You can look at your own school that you serve. But look at 77%, 72, so it's 18-19 course completion was pretty good. 21-20, now the pandemic is hitting. And now fall we did, we're on the upswing, okay? You can't get closer if you have, if you didn't use your health insurance to get new glasses by the end of the semester, okay? But you look at some of these, and then go ahead and look at some of the, I'm just looking at primarily, let's see where this guy goes. These numbers, right? Just the ones in bold, because they're for the whole year. But if you take a look at that, that's the course completion, so they completed the course. So the first question is 72%, right? That's one way to look at it. Out of all our students, 72 complete the course. The more obvious question that reflects where our graduation rates are, retention rates, and all of that is, what's happening to the other 28? Why? And so it shows, yeah, from 18-19 it's dropped, but from last year it's gone up a little. So that's a good thing, right? Go to the slide down. Now you break that down, okay? So just go to the bottom and look at this, the female, the male. One of the things that we say, right, one of the things that we say when we look at our data is that the two biggest hindrances that our students face to be successful is transportation and childcare. Right? Transportation and childcare. And when you kind of just think about that, you think, well, the transportation is both male, female. Childcare is primarily probably female. Okay? But look how close this is. Male, female, 67 to 74. The females are still completing at an even higher rate. And yet we say the challenge is childcare. So the males then are the ones that are bringing down the number more, right? But if we look at this and we look at the different areas and times and themes, look at it 18-19, 73%, 67. Look at the breakdown, 78-69. Look at the spring, 82-76, summer. I mean, you can see that it's not as, you know, remember we have 2/3 female and 1/3 male at this college. So there's a lot more females. So there's a lot more fluctuation that's going to be in the males because there's less than there are in the females. But this just gives you one little tidbit, and I won't get into it too long because I know we're trying to get back on schedule. But go to the slide up. Age groups. Here's another thought. Remember that a majority of our students, where do they fall? They're the non-traditional. We were in a trajectory that our traditional students, the 18 to 24, was growing. The pandemic shifted that. It really shifted that. But if you look at the breakdown, traditional students, 66, the non-traditional, 77 course completion. We kind of can get an idea of why that is, right? The younger people, some had to probably go and maybe take care of the family. The older's like, you know what, I'm so close. But these are all assumptions, right? So we started asking these questions, and we're now going to begin to look at what does that say about our students as we go forward. But look at how relatively steady the non-traditional has been, while it's the traditional students, the youngers, that are fluctuating a lot more. Right? So when we talk about things, a lot of times we talk about providing more services, providing more support for what? The non-traditional, because it's harder. Our data shows that, you know what, they're pretty damn tough. And maybe we need to think about it from the other perspective. The other thing that's really important, I think, to look at here is this really reflects the non-traditional, and it's not broken down by grades. But think about what some of our incoming freshmen have had to face. When we talk to them, one of the things they said is their last year of high school was not high school. It was just get through. You just get through, it helps us, it helps you, move on. You know, that's all it was about. Many of them, it's a loss, to me, it's a lost year of learning. And we're dealing with that, right? We don't sit there and say, you know, sorry, Don, you can't come in. You know, sorry, Peter, nope. Who comes in our door? We take them. So understanding more of our students, even disaggregating that data, helps us to provide more targeted and micro-targeted support. Also helps faculty in terms of understanding who's coming in the door. Go ahead and go. This is a real quick one to just look at. Look at the number of incompletes for the fall. 137. I don't know what that says, but they put it in the screen, so go ahead and go to the next one. And here's something that earlier we looked at the rate was going down for, in terms of the course completion for the traditional students, right? Look at this, the number of students we have that are freshmen, incoming freshmen, has dropped to 91 this past semester. 91 students came from high school to our college. It used to be 199 back in 16, 17. Even 2019, it was 111. So it's been a steady drop, right? So some of the things, okay, so they're not impacting us as much, but they're really not ready. Look at some of the retention rate, 36%, persistence rate, 54%. Okay, some of these are just some data points to look at. We started asking some questions. I wanted you to see what some of the VPs and myself were looking at last week, so that you just have an idea, okay, this is what we're thinking, you know, of what we're looking at. There's a lot more data to be shared, and I'd like also to be able to have that opportunity to share it with everybody. Go ahead and go to the next one. Our retention was up. We were kind of holding tight at 44, 44, and then it dropped 37. And we can blame that. And this is one of the things that we do a lot right now. Oh, that's the pandemic. That's the pandemic. But if you're living in the pandemic and during the pandemic, that's no longer an excuse, is it? This is our reality. So what do we do about it? We don't write it off and say, well, that's because of the pandemic. So some of the things that we hear from students, I had to get out, quit school to get a job to take care of my family because they were sick. Okay. So, wow, okay, that's really good. Well, we thought that. One of the data points in mid-year was that a lot of students were dropping out, right? You all know that. They're in your classes. So we asked them a simple question on a survey. Why? Get a job to help my family, health of my family. Those are the two biggest ones. Then we followed up. And we reached out to those same students and we talked to them. It wasn't the family, it wasn't a job. It was access to the course. It was no internet. I'm tired of sitting in a parking lot at McDonald's. It's unreliable. By the time I get online, I'm 3 weeks behind. I'm just always catching up. Okay, that is COVID related, but that's a different approach to say COVID related, right? One is, I gotta take care of my family. I gotta provide for my family. Admirable. That's what we hope when we raise that kind of character. And there's not a whole lot you can do, though I do still think we can. The other is to say what? I got to go back to work is one thing. But to say I can't access, we think we're doing a better job. We need to then find different ways that they can access. How can we help you? And try to find those different ways of helping. Because for the first time in our history of our college, money is not the issue when it comes to access. 5 years from now, that won't be the same thing. But right now, money is not the issue. So how do we try to increase our access? We are providing one thing, and that is more sites, micro campuses. Aneth, Newcomb, over in Dilcon, somewhere in the eastern side. So we're looking at sites to try to find not full-blown centers, but places where they can come in and have access. That's the reaction to some of this, all right? But we're still getting there. But what are some other ways? Because that's still about transportation. Maybe I'm not traveling 90 miles one way, but I'm still traveling 30 miles one way. And if I don't have a reliable vehicle, 30 might as well be 1,000. So how do we address that? We're looking at starting buses, looking at different ways that we can start trying to say, this is how we can help serve our students, okay? So you see that? And this is some of the stuff that I talked about in terms of some of the, real quick, and I'll kind of just go through it because you've already seen the larger one, but go down one to the gender. Look at this here, retention rate right? 37, 39 are retained. The males aren't as much, but remember they're smaller. But take a look at what we're talking about here when we break it down by gender. One of the assumptions, right, that the females, their moms, are taking care of kids, yet they're still holding tight at that number. We really need to have a targeted impact on our male students. We really need to. Now they're going to be, also bombarded with the opportunities that, there are more jobs available. So what does that look like? So we need to be able to be agile as we move forward. So what does this all mean? Go to the next thing. So what does this all mean? Okay, a little bit? Okay, Geraldine's going to be generous with me, so I appreciate that. So we're going to start a new strategic planning process. And one of the things that we're going to try to think about is not call it a strategic planning process, even though today I'll probably call it strategic planning a lot. But primarily strategic designing. Why? Planning goes on the assumption that you know all the variables. You plan a birthday party. You know that I invited X number, I have this much food, or whatever. You know all the variables, right? The other variable is I'm having a dinner for the community. You don't know who's going to show up. You don't know if, I'm in Round Rock, look at your guy's going to say, well, Round Rock's part of our community, they come down. So you don't know all the variables. So you design more. You're more adaptive. And I think that's something that we want to kind of look at as we go forward. So earlier this, last year, we had a retreat with the board. And the purpose of that retreat was to focus on the strategic themes for this design process, right? To come up with that. The role of the board is to figure out those strategic themes. And one of the things that we stated when we started this process is we looked back at all of the other strategic plans, and we looked at all the different strategic themes that have been placed in there, and how they more or less are just the same thing over and over and over. So for the last 25 years, we looked at all of these themes. We dug down a little deeper. Why? What was the outcomes of these? Here were the goals and the objectives. Did they meet that? There's about 78 to 80% of meeting those themes. But when one of your targets is to say, we want to stay open, that's not really that major of a golden milestone hit, right? So how do we stretch ourselves also at the same time? Because we're in a different place and a different time, so we changed the way we approach this. And we came up with a few new strategic themes. They haven't been hammered down to exactly what we're going to use, but the process, and that's what I really want to talk to everybody about, the process is going to be collective. It's not going to be the board and myself saying this is what we're going to do, and now we give it to the faculty, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do in the communities. We're changing the whole process. So the strategic themes, I don't think it's on this one, so I'll just kind of read out. These are the kind of the ideas that we're looking at. One is growth, right? And that can be defined in many different ways, right? First thing everyone thought was probably enrollment. But it could be growth in programs, growth in campuses. It can be defined whatever way we want, but strategically growth. Because without growth, you're just, treading water. Quality. One of the things that we did last year, beginning of December, we got some teams together, and some faculty and some staff and some administrators, and I asked a very simple question. I asked them, when you go home, or when you're with other people and somebody says, what do you do? And you say, I work at Dine College. What do they ask you? if they don't know about the college. And that really shifted what we were looking at. Because think about that in your own way. Dine College. Oh yeah, what's it like there? I heard this, I heard that, what's it like? And that shifted because a lot of the things that we assumed that people knew about, they did not know about. So it shifts the way we look at it, and quality was something that came up. The idea of quality, that there is quality, that there is lacking quality. So I'm not saying and sitting here and saying that we lack quality at our college. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying we lack growth. I'm saying is, how do we improve? How do we get better? Accessibility. Again, how do people come to the college? How do we increase that? How do we make it easier? We're in the process of a digital transformation right now of going paperless. We have student affairs now that has gone almost fully paperless. There's going to be a lot of hiccups. We know that this semester is going to be tougher. Last time we just started, so this time we're relying on it more. But if we can cut down the time it takes for students to register for classes, that's huge. Every year until we started changing this, we had students that would come during Christmas break, walk and hike here in the snow like it is right now, show up here and the campus was closed. That's not making ourselves accessible. We were not thinking about the student, we were thinking about ourselves. So when we say we are here for students, our actions better show it. And that's what we're trying to do as we move forward. Health. Now, it's obvious during a pandemic, right? The health, but it's also about the health of the college. Is it healthy? And that blends right into the culture and environment. Do they feel safe? Do they feel threatened? Do they feel they are heard? You all, as I named those things, were checking yes, yes, no, or no, 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 or whatever it was. We all have the perception, but it's all of our jobs to create the environment we want. Facilities is another. You know, one of the things that comes up is, and most people don't know this, but over the past 4 years, we have had a capital campaign where we have actually raised and received over $40 million for our facilities. $40 million. And we're not stopping. We have other things in mind and we're looking at different ways to find money. But you wouldn't know that. Now some of it is, you know, has to go into a building like NHC that it would have been great if we could have used that money elsewhere, but the whole point was fix it or tear it down. And if you tear it down, you need about 75 billion. So, you know, those are the changes and the challenges. You know, we'd like to get the GCB building up. Extending classroom, renovating classrooms, fixing the dark room, all that stuff. Let's redo this, let's make a place where they actually have a place to work. We tear down a wall to expand, and what do we see? Daylight. We see a crack in the wall, a load-bearing wall. So what was going to cost us $6.7 billion is now $7.9 billion. So we have to come up with it. We can't change that. But those are the kinds of things that we're trying to address right now in other ways. Okay? So this now, I'll wrap up right now. This now is then the strategic design process. So what we've done is those are the themes. So now what we're going to do, we're going to meet with faculty. There'll be, I think, 2 faculty from each school on the committee. The deans will be on the committee. We'll have people from all throughout the college that'll get together and begin this process. But we're also going to go out to the community. We're going to go out, and one of the things when we talk about growth that I think about is we should have a site in Phoenix. We should have a site in Albuquerque. We should be expanding. You know, one of the things my dad taught me really early on is when times are tough is when you expand. Because everybody is retreating. That's when you expand. And so this idea of, okay, but what? Expand to what? And that's what this strategic design process will be about. It'll be, what do we want to become? It's the same conversation that was had in 1967 when this college was being designed. What do we want to become? That time is different than this time. This time, it'll be us making those decisions. This time, it'll be us building our college. This time, it'll be us that'll transfer from the college to the university setting. What do we want to become? That's the question that we'll be answering through this as we go out. We were going to try to get it done by March, February. But now I thought, you know what? Let's take our time. Let's look into maybe possibly the beginning of summer. To go out and talk to people, interview students, interview community members, interview faculty members. Create this so that everybody's voice is heard as we redesign our college for the future. That's what we're doing in this January of 2022 right now. We're preparing for that future. What are our programs going to be? What are our faculty going to be like? What are our staff going to be like? What do we need to do with the facilities to get to that point? These are all parts of the questions that we'll be asking. And if we don't find an answer, I don't believe that, you know, the perfect should be the enemy of good. We'll start moving, and more information will come, and we'll be able to move forward. So those are the updates that I have for the college. I just want in closing say thank you for all of you and for all that you do. And I look forward to the next process here as we move forward. I think it's something that is exciting. And I'm very thankful that all of you are along for the ride with me. So thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Russell. I guess, where's our next VP? Glenita, is she here? Okay, in the meantime, I'll promote enrollment. Right now, I guess if there are any students looking at this presentation, and if you haven't registered, please do that as soon as possible. Go to your nearest Dine College Center, or if there's a way we can do it online, do that. Register for classes. We need you, the students. So, with that, I'll bring this up every now and then. VP Haskey, Student Services, Glenita. Are you here? VP of Finance, Bo Lewis. Oh, that's a nice. VP of External Campuses, Marie Nez. I guess it falls to you. Dr. Garrity, Provost.
Happy New Year. She Kodoshit Edge. Toy head leaning is laid or Todich Edi Bashichin. Bits Ani Edashid or Kia Ani Edashanale. Ado Ahaha. Thank you for being here. Those of you that are able to make it through the snow here. Today we wanted to use a different platform, and we're using the Facebook as well as the radio to stream today's institutional update. So we didn't have the Zoom link, so that's something that was different today. So I know that we're used to the Zoom link, but we wanted to try different platforms, and as we're moving along, so I just want to provide some updates as we're going through. So the very first one is, change the slide. Having a lot of questions earlier, you heard Dr. Russell talking about the various questions that we've been asking rather than just responding with different types of answers or solutions, have you? So one of the questions here is how are we ensuring that we remain unique at the NE College? College ishi yisi bankia nkiahut ilzin ado halit a kodo osthae danotkin ado hat ishi yisi benantkin saana rebik ahjon di no ishi I olya ado hat ishi olya benantkin shi hashit anolto not faculty no linigi eshi hashit chol lay classroom guna na idikidigi baya deltkit na no nahi kodo nihinat ani ye hadzi do innovation committee aje hine kaho daidil kido kadaz astat nahi. We're asking a lot of questions. Ask a lot of questions. Is it the education philosophy be not so good that's as we're moving forward. Is the net education philosophy the answer to incorporate cultural responsive teaching in the classroom or campus-wide or in our daily activities here on campus? Those are some of the questions that we've been posing. So, Tim? So, with the Office of the Provost and of course the Provost Council, we've been talking a lot about achieving the dream, the ATD. You hear ATD a lot, and we've been with Achieving the Dream for a few years now. And one of the things that we're looking at is the 3 goals. We have 3 goals that we're focusing on for the past couple years and really trying to ensure that we complete those goals. And one of the goals, the very first goal is teaching and learning. Quality. We're at, what is quality instruction look like? So professional development is a focus area that we're really focusing on this year in terms of not only in the classroom, but also distance learning. How do we incorporate different types of instruction? So a lot of these classrooms that we're looking at, we want to implement Zoom classrooms. And what is it, a Zoom classroom that we really need? That was another question. Everybody is using Zoom, but Zoom, it can bog down after a while if everybody is on the Zoom. Although within your communities, you probably can, if you're at home, if you were to be at home and all the students get on along with yourself for meetings or whatnot, or the students' instruction, those are some of the areas that we are looking at. So we're looking at different platforms, not just the Zoom, but also media share as well as teams or different types, so that you can go into a classroom and project any type of platforms rather than just relying on one and bogging that system down. So that's something we're going to be really focusing on in terms of professional development that's available for you all, and trying to say what is meaningful for all of you. I know Quality Matters was one that we brought, but that's not the only way to get your certification online. There were other opportunities like AQ. They had those micro online teaching certificates, and then there are also others like college courses. So there's different ways. We're not just saying Quality Matters is the only way. That was one way to get everyone on board in terms of, you know, what we could do at the time with the American Indian College Funds. And then, so looking at goal 2, we look at strategic planning. And I want to mention more about this as well as the professional development. You probably all noticed that there is a position posted out there for the Vice Provost for Research. And that particular position is to really start expanding and growing, just as Dr. Russell had mentioned. As we were moving forward with the faculty ranking, we asked for scholarship, research, and services. And this is an opportunity here for us. We recently had a partnership or an MOU signed with UNM for our faculty, one faculty a year, to be selected and to do fellowships and to do research. And this is one area I think will be very helpful to building your resume as well as your professional growth. Let's look at goal 3, policies and procedures. You look at all those data that was presented earlier, and that is basically what the deans and myself, we come together and really track a lot of the data and ensure that, you know, what is causing this particular data to either increase, decrease, and we rely on our support data team, strategy team, that's energy, faculty when it comes to having those conversations at your meetings, at your school meetings. Ask those questions of your deans. The enrollment that goes with that any given recruitment plan data points. That's how we're looking at those data points as we go through. Deans we have some issues here. One, for example, was the incomplete policy. Faculty, let them look at it. Who is it more relevant to? Such as the Academic Standards Committee. They took a look at the incomplete policy this past year and try to word it where it could be understood, because it can be, when it's read, sometimes it can be interpreted differently. So that's when we come to faculty, to the standing committees. So those are just kind of just quick snapshots. So go to the next slide. This is our planning monitoring chart. Just wanted to show you guys how the deans track by quarters. Go ahead, click the next one. And here I just want to mention that I do appreciate those that are heavily involved in these particular teams, because the data team, they are the ones that really analyze the data for us. And we do need more faculty members to serve on the data team in the academics, because right now I think we have a staff, and as you are all aware, our director of assessment is no longer in place. Therefore, we will rely heavily on the faculty members to really take a look at the data. So just so we can grow. Our strategy team, data team, though that group there is working with the data team to see what are best practices. So here, the data team says, this is what it's saying. The strategy team then says, okay, here are some best practices that we can implement in the classroom. And then it comes back to the core team, which consists of the deans. And the deans then make those considerations annually, especially now in the springtime. They're starting to plan to see, okay, what best practices can we possibly look at or continue to monitor. So I just wanted to mention that as well. And so I want to go back to DEP. I know there's a lot of things here listed, but the main thing is the net faculty, the net studies faculty. I believe starting October, they started to meet here and there and really look at our Dine education philosophy. The as before. No wata e as hongo jogaso e the neck at e baya at kitla e ro dai ajita e all e higibik ahoda e the neck ne kala e that's enigishi e baya date. And so I was able to sit in on two-day meeting that they had in December to come up with a plan to reinstitute the Dine education philosophy courses. So there's 3 courses that they have in mind, beginning with the NIS 294 this coming spring, second 8 weeks. And the one that they're looking at is, they had a lot of discussion on whether it should be CEU, or should it be a class, or how should this look for credentialing. So they came up with the term earn continued education credit, more of a credential, be credentialed to teach in the Dine College classroom. And that is one that, they really looked at and said this might be ideal for us, that we get credentialed. So that is in terms of the professional development. There will be co-teaching happening amongst the Dine Studies faculty to ensure that this gets done. So so this is a lot on Dine education philosophy. Go ahead. And so, as I mentioned, professional development and credentialing, those are the 2 areas I think we'll be really focusing on this semester, and to ensure that, before our next HLC visit, that we have all our ducks in a row for credentialing, so that's what we're working on. Okay. I think back in fall of 2019, we had an ATD visit And we wanted to create a teaching and learning center, a physical center. So we said, we'll design it to have a place for faculty to do their professional meetings and kind of like a library, a place they can go for resources. But then 2020 happened. And so when that happened, we had to quickly design an online platform. And so this website, Untitled Chapter Innovation Hub, was implemented then, not really fully implemented, but was under construction. And so with this particular site here, it kind of has been a work in progress and trying to collect resources, get our academic technologists, our professional development coordinator in place. But they've been working on it for at least a couple months. And I think they've cleaned up a lot of stuff here. And so they just request that they get some updates, some bios. And so we have Timothy Skidmore and Tara Lamont that are overseeing that. So if you can click on the link. And you can ask more questions of Timothy or Tara to find us, or just click on this link. And so it's right under our Dine College website. So if you look at this, it's been a while, so some of the pictures are dated. If you just scroll down, and you can see onto the left, there are a lot of different areas that you can visit. There's that about faculty development, resources, and virtual teaching and learning. And so I know that Tim has implemented a lot of YouTubes in there. Was it videos that you can find as well? If you can show where that is. So this is just kind of like your own online professional library. So there's a lot of Zoom support on this page and different type of videos you'll be seeing, articles, and this is an opportunity for all the faculty that are writing articles to also store in here, but have a place to go, kind of learn at your own pace, on your own time type of thing, and this is what this will be. So we're really hoping that we really go further this semester with this one here. All right. So Untitled Chapter came from the deans. I know that we always talk about we can't make people learn what they, what we think they should be able to learn. It should be up to them, and try to visit these sites on their own time and have videos, articles, whatever. So go ahead, go to the next one. And to end, we do have some Blackboard certification coming through as well. It's an opportunity if you want to learn more about Blackboard. I think it'll be great if you can participate in this. There are 15 seats available at this time. I think we only have about 5 faculty members who responded from the faculty updates I gave at the beginning of December, and I think it'll be a good opportunity to really know the ins and outs of Blackboard. So I believe there are courses. I don't want to say one course. It's just not a one-course thing. I think it's about 3 courses, but Tim has more information on that. I do encourage you guys to reach out to Mr. Skidmore and ensure that you get more information on that. It's a good opportunity for everybody. Okay. All right. The other one I want to mention as well is the other updates. I know we've been really looking at graduate degree programs, and Dawn here has been working on it for 2 years. I want to say 2 years, and has had many meetings. First started on Mondays, then Wednesdays every other week, but he's near completion with his application for the HLC visit target date 2023 with our next visit. And that's a master's degree in biology, and the other master's degree is in business management. The other deans are also exploring master's degree and trying to launch off master's or the graduate degree courses by 2023, the next HLC visit. So those are things I can mention. I don't know, I don't kid though, it's the aya, the biology. Shin Hidins and they dos kid and die dos kid hinge kid or this coming semester. Ado Dosh's Bahos and the La Donene Edo da Hola Hashit Eshin Ado Nosene Ashpone Benai dos kid dila hit by a tit. Could it this did by a tit? No Shin you see what will have that professional growth and trying to build that culture of professionalism, building the culture of what does that 4-year institution really look like here at the Net College. Hashnod nen halit bitzi losa ultra a koea le dailtrahigi 12th grade and lenigi project hato there. Project Nissen or that. A day young load then in low hard the idistra dansen a coho qua stop ultra do bitskias a digishi a benacha a recruitment a coho a day young hinge kid or that a could
Okay, we move to question and answers. Anybody have any questions? Don't direct them at me, direct it to the provost, the president, or if it's for me, direct it to me. Question and answer. While you're thinking of a question, I'd like to speak to the students again. If you haven't registered, please do so today or tomorrow. Up until Friday, we have registrations that are open. I was informed that we now have an online registration, so hopefully do that. Register online. But if you don't have internet access, or there's a way, there's usually the day college location somewhere near you, like Chinle or Window Rock and Shiprock, those places. So please do that this week. Today, tomorrow, register for courses at Dine College. Just like Dr. Garrity said, Dine College is the best in the West. So think about us, especially if you, those of you who recent high school graduate, you're thinking about what college where do I want to go? Come to Dine College. You know, I don't want to say anything about other colleges, but I know that having been to colleges and universities far, far away, I know it's difficult. You get homesick, money's an issue, those things. But if you come here to Dine College, you're close to home. You might even commute every day. So think about that. Register today. Thank you. Question, Dr. Robinson?
I'm just wondering if you could review the rules for campus attendance for the students and faculty. How does it compare to pre-pandemic? Are we still limiting in any way?
Dr. Garrity, I think you're more directly involved with the What's the protocol, Gina?
Do you want me to go there? So with the question in terms of the students that are enrolled at this time, students that are taking classes on site are following the same protocol as before in terms of having their vaccination cards at the entries, going through the screening process as just the same. So I know there are other questions in regards to no vaccinations. Those are the ones that we are asking to attend virtually. So that is for students, and for faculty and staff, we're back on site. So everybody should be back on site. Our office hours are back on site.
Are the dormitories open?
Yes, the dormitories are open.
So pretty much back to normal except social distancing in the classrooms?
And follow the CDC protocols, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Are there any more questions? Don, do you have one? I'll just call on you like a teacher.
Time for me?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, so this face-to-face that we're doing, so you can add Blackboard with it.
Yes.
Okay. As far as Zoom and whatnot, because I just got with him about doing
Yes.
Blackboard.
Oh,
Certification.
yes.
I have a question.
oh,
For Zoom classes, what is the attendance level or capacity? See, last time I did a class for Zoom, one class, and it was 160 students in that class, and it was a whole too much load for me. And so, what is the cap for students for Zoom?
So with those Zoom classrooms, some of the courses were given up to 30, and depending on, if there's a writing course, there's actual like 20 to 30, depending on the level of the courses. So if it's incoming freshman class, it's a little bit lower, and then it gets more. So I would really ask your dean to work with you on that. But if it's a face-to-face course and you have both integration, meaning that you'll be in person like this and some online, and that is where you can put those two together. But it really depends on the square footage. So each of the deans have been given by CDC, not CDC, sorry, our Instant Command Center, the limits. So there are classrooms that can hold more if it's a bigger space. If it's a smaller space, then it holds just that amount, 6 feet. Oh. So you can actually integrate, that's what I mentioned about Zoom classroom or multimedia rooms. You can have students on site and then on the screen as well at the same time. So those are some of the strategies that you'll be learning with the Blackboard certification. So I think those will be really helpful. And I just remembered one more thing too, is we are looking at our Watermark software. So we'll be really encouraging the Blackboard testing and putting your rubrics and your assessment into Blackboards. And this is something I'll probably be working with Dawn on. And what we really want to have happen is Watermarks will be just their sync with Blackboard. So whatever the students do with their assessments and their rubrics, it'll transfer right into Watermarks, where you can just download reports. And that's where we're headed with the Watermarks. So that's where the assessment team will be going through that process by starting to use that. But it's going to take all faculty members to really get on board with Blackboard so that Watermarks can work really good for us. Okay, thank you.
I might add that, like Dr. Garrity said, each school, like we're going to have our meeting Thursday, so we'll go over some of those issues. In my school, I'm really thinking about keeping with that 9 limit that we've had for fall, because you know, the way I'm looking at the situation right now, the pandemic, you know, of course we have new variants that they talk about. I think the new variant that we have is the Omicron. Supposedly that's highly more contagious. And so my concern is really for the faculty and the students. And I don't want to just blanketly say, let's get back into the classroom. I want to encourage work with each of the faculty if they want to do in class, like Don, I know your situation, our class, I think that's how I'm looking at it. Work with the faculty, what they're thinking about. I don't want to say, let's all go back into the classroom. I think that's a wrong approach. I do believe that the pandemic is not going to change. I think we're going to be hearing more about new variants coming up, springing up, and we don't know how those variants will, what will happen, basically. So I think it's important to look at what the scientists are saying, CDC, and what are the messages. That's how I'm looking at it. For my school, I want to encourage faculty to come back into the classroom, but I'm not going to make it mandatory. I think if you're concerned about your health, the health of your students, that's where I stand. As Dr. Garrity said, you know, talk with your deans. Okay, I'll do a little more. Students, if you're watching this Facebook, if you haven't registered and you just happen to see me on Facebook, or you were having breakfast or coffee or whatever you were doing, herding sheep, come back into the Hogan and notice this program, please register. If you haven't done that, either register online if you have access to internet, or go to your nearest Dine College Center. We need you, students, so please do that. And also, I guess I'll just kind of go over, are there any more questions? Okay.
Up there on the floor, you mentioned there's these big, huge TV monitors that's supposed to work on, say, Blackboard, and how to connect with other students using a computer from the classroom. Who's going to teach us how to use it?
Timothy, where are you? I know that the Provost Council is working with Timothy. One of the things that we asked him to do is have a mandatory orientation on online courses. And I believe he's doing that right. And so, and that's something that we learn. LA, is Timothy over there? Something that we learn through Quality Matters is what they're saying is it's really important to have a mandatory online orientation for students. And so we want to do that. I think Timothy's working on that. And he's also working on putting some designs together, right, with how the classroom's going to look like. And I think that's what you're asking. So unfortunately, I don't have the information to the details of what he's going to do. He was going to give a demonstration last week, I believe, but most of us were on vacation at the time, so we were not able to come. Timothy, there's a question for you.
Yeah. What was the question?
Yes, I asked a question. On the fifth floor, I love these classrooms. They have monitor TVs, and it tells us how to get online or whatever it needs to happen, or how do we use it to the program, the setup, or whatever it is. I need to know more about it. It's just sitting there. I will be able to use it.
So that's the Zoom room monitors that you have in the classrooms. So you have two ways you can access sharing those. The first one is just when you open up your Zoom app on your desktop, you can click share screen, and then it'll pop up with the little code that's up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. You'll type in that code, and then that'll share your whole monitor and anything that you want to share. But that'll also function as like your Zoom access for your students that are attending virtually. So I recommend that you join the meeting from the little tablet. I can go over that with you. That's on the monitor. So that way, if you have any kind of notifications and stuff that might have sensitive FERPA information, you avoid having that issue coming up during classroom, so you don't have any sensitive information popping up on the screen. But I can go over that with you. Personally, in person, if anybody wants to have that, they can go ahead and email me. It's tskidmore@dc, and I can set up a time where we can all meet together and go over those Zoom room monitors.
I think that would feel pretty, to have that in-service or training this week before in the school and the studies.
Yes, we can.
These guys over here, they have the same monitors in all the classrooms.
Yeah, they're not in all the classrooms just yet. There's only a few here on this main campus. I'm not sure the exact number, but I do know that there's still several sitting in IT too that haven't been situated to classrooms, because I think they're meant for GCD and it's under renovation right now. So, but for whichever classrooms that are going to have that, we can set up that this week for you. Whatever works for you guys as a faculty, we'll make it happen for you.
Okay, let me just go over what we have here. Tomorrow, Tuesday, this is for faculty. From 9 to noon, there'll be inter-campus meetings for business, STEM, and then from 1 to 4, inter-campus meeting for social behavioral science. Wednesday, 9 to noon, inter-campus meeting again, School of Education. 9 to 12, School of Business and Social Behavioral Science, inter-campus. And then 1 to 4, inter-campus Dine studies. Thursday, 9 to noon, inter-campus science. From 9 to 12, School of Arts, Humanity, and English. And then from 1 to 4, again, intercampus, math, physics, computer, engineering. Friday, same thing, 9 to noon, intercampus, English, humanities. 9 to noon, School of Dine Studies and Education. 1 to 4, the arts, the artist, the BFA program. So, Rochelle, I guess you're here to do a report for Bo. Rochelle?
Yeah, Ted, good morning to everyone. I'm just going to provide a quick update on the finance section. VP Lewis is unavailable to attend, but I'm going to go ahead and do just finance right now. Updates to share with everyone is that we're still moving forward with the electronic processes, electronic submissions of travel authorization forms, travel authorization documents, purchase requisitions, which are now utilizing the Genzabar system, where it's called a requisition form. Vehicle request forms are all electronic also. Consultant contracts, engagement agreements. We are no longer, we are encouraging more of the electronic, meaning emailing it to Payroll at Dine College for timesheets, Travel at Dine College for travel authorization forms, receipts, trip reports, and then the consultant contracts to procurement, purchasing at Dine College with engagement agreements and all documentation. Our budget coordinator will be taking care of that and handling internally the process within our department for signatures and moving them forward. Also, we have been working with information technology team to start the document management system or process. So that is still in the, I guess you could say, works right now. So we're still working with the IT team on that. Another update is the Paylogix payroll system training. Our payroll technician, who is also our budget coordinator, provides training to all managers and assists with human resources on providing the training to the employees also. So we are encouraging that all managers please approve, review, and approve your team members' time in Paylogix. Therefore, that way it'll, when payroll is doing their process, it brings over that information across for those hourly employees. For the salaried employees, it's the manager's responsibility to upload that information for the manager, for their employees who are salaried. That way, that information comes across easily. Also, to verify leave on the system also, any deductions and payroll information must be submitted by pay period ending date of Fridays by 5 o'clock. If things need to be updated, please notify our payroll at Dine College email, and then she'll work with you on making those changes also, and possibly a extension, I should say. Also, we have Courier Assistants, couriers, delivery specialists assist Dine College departments to deliver mail, deliver packages, merchandise to the centers. So if you have a request, please submit that to Courier Incoming at Dine College, and they'll place it on their schedule. They do have center visits on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, they designate those days to go to vendors in like Gallup, Farmington to pick up items that are ordered for the college. We still have the ongoing package pickup at the general service loading dock. That is taken care of for personal packages from 1 to 4 o'clock. We still have that service available. Interdepartment, the team from the couriers from the general service department will send an email to the department notifying you that they'll be delivering a package so that someone is available at the office when they're doing that delivery. We also encourage utilizing the online Jabber or Microsoft Teams to communicate. We are, for instant messaging, this is a quicker tool, an easier tool for everyone to use to get and notify someone instead of trying to call, and you keep getting these missed calls. So we encourage the use of Jabber and Microsoft Teams instant messaging. That's a tool that's out there now. They sent that through information technology team. Also, a reminder or update is accounts payable is now available to do direct deposit for employees also. So if you have not set up your direct deposit for reimbursement please notify accounts payable at Dine College. Accounts payable 2 at Dine College, and then we can upload and transfer your direct deposit information so that if you're receiving a reimbursement from AP, you'll have that sent direct deposit. And then the online bookstore is still in the works. We are working with IT as well to set up the online bookstore so that make it easier for people to make purchases of merchandise and so forth. We do have both bookstores open in the Salient Shiprock office, and they are right now set up for 8:30 to 4 o'clock to do their sales. And then the other update for the tax forms is they'll be available mid-January for W-2s, 1099s, and 1098Ts. We're working with IT once again to have these all delivered electronically. Paylogix takes care of the W-2, so you'll be receiving an email from them once your W-2 is made available, and then you can access when you log into your Paylogix. 1099s and 1098s for students, those are due to the current Genzabar upgrade that's ongoing, that once the final upgrade is completed, then those forms will be made available electronically also. So if the emails are set up and current in the system, students and vendors will be receiving their tax forms via email. Otherwise, it's going to be mail if those things aren't current. So those are the updates I have for the finance office. And I believe there are other human resources, IT, and maintenance that do report to VP Lewis, but I don't have their information, I'm sorry. Yes?
And Happy New Year. So when we submit a TA or a PR, can individuals do that, or does that what's the process? Who does that?
The TAs can be handled at the individual. Just send that to the travel at Dine. Whether it's a completed TA and insurance only, all that. We do record all the TAs that are coming through. Purchase orders, purchase requests, requisitions, those ones we use. If we're utilizing the Genzabar system, it's set up to most likely an administrative assistant that starts that process, and then we have it set up to electronic approvals. You know how you have those different level of approvals? It's set up in the system, so if you're submitting a requisition
for your department. Whomever has that access, which most likely is the administrative assistant, will start that requisition, submit, then it'll be sent to our office for review. Once our office reviews and ensures that all supporting documents are attached, it's using the correct line item, then they'll move it forward to the first approver, which is the budget manager. After the budget manager, if it falls above the 2,000, it'll go directly to one of the VPs. Then from there, it's just based on dollar limits. But for the travel, an individual can submit those. It's just scanning the TA and then sending it to travel at Dine.
So we still complete it on a paper TA, and then we scan that and then submit it to travel?
Right now, yes. We are looking at vendors who can process the electronic, because we have to we have to look at it being able to work with Genzabar system. So right now, yes, those are still paper.
Don asked me a question about Genzabar. There's issues with advising because of continuing upgrade. Do you know anything about that?
Right now, I know that they are still doing the upgrade from the 7.2 and they're now at 7.4. They are still working on that because, you know, I had that issue this morning myself. They are looking at one more upgrade to the 7.5.
Is it possible they could pause that until the registration?
I can request, I can put in the inquiry. I just don't have that answer for you.
So you can't access it when you want to advise students for classes. Is that what I'm hearing? Because they're upgrading?
What I know right now, as of this morning, is there were some departments, some users that their upgrade didn't process through over the weekend. So those are the ones that they're working on now to get the overall college to the 7.4.
Okay, so the code that you put in, do you still use that?
Yes.
As far as the user code?
Yes,
Okay.
your login and your password is still the same. It's just the version that they are using or they have right now.
Okay. Hopefully IT is listening.
It should be.
Are students allowed on field trips this semester? I don't know if that's you or that's ICC. Thanks, Scott.
Travel restrictions, I'm not sure about travel restrictions.
We usually get clearance through ICC for that before we process a request for travel or advance or for the students. And most times the supervisors, the department managers take care of that before it's submitted to our office, and we just look at the attachments to the documents. Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions for anybody, I understand you have a lunch ticket, so where did they get it, I guess? Or do you have it? Just sign in, get your lunch ticket, and have a great afternoon. One more plug, enrollment, students, again. If you haven't registered or thinking about registering, please do that today or this week as soon as possible. You can register online or go to your nearest Dine College Center throughout the Navajo Nation. Dine College is the best in the West. I think a lot of people here agree with me. We just talked about that equality. We work hard to make sure that our curriculum is tops, and we have a really good faculty. They care about the students, and so come. If you haven't signed up again from fall, please do that. If you're new, do that. I also encourage potential students beyond the Navajo Nation. If you just happen to be finding our updates and you're interested in Dine College, do so. Our tuition's low. Many of our courses now are online, so. And thank you very much, everybody. Hello.